Hello, friends, and welcome. This is episode 2 of Journey into Fandom Season 2, a podcast where I have guests on to discuss what fandoms and communities they're part of, what their experience has been, what the memes are, and how toxic or wholesome it is. I'm your host, Carislan, and today on the show we had Josh Taylor on to talk about his YouTube channel, Blimeycow, and his Patreon group, the Cowmoonity. In this episode, we talked a fair bit about the convention Blimeycon, and as of last week, the dates of Blimeycon 2022 have just been announced. It is only for Blimeycow supporters, however, but you can visit blimeycow.com/support for more information. Josh talked about how he prioritizes his Patreon community and his desire is for everyone to feel loved and accepted. And we also discussed a bit about what it's like having YouTube as your full-time job. Now, without any further ado, please join me on this journey into fandom. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Journey into Fandom. My name is Karis. I am your host, and today on the show we have Josh Taylor from the Blimeycow YouTube channel. Hello!
Hello, Karis. How are you doing?
I'm doing so well. How are you?
I'm doing well. I can't believe I get to be on your show. I'm so honored. Thank you for having me.
Oh, of course. No, it's a privilege to have you come on this show. I'll be real, so this is really exciting. So yeah, basically the format of this show is the first half we talk about your personal. Well, this is going to be a different kind of episode, I feel like,
Okay.
because most of the time it's like a topic of last week we did Godzilla, for example,
Oh, okay.
right? So it'll be like, this is my personal experience of Godzilla. And then the second half is like, tell me about the discourse in the Godzilla community. But today we're talking about the Cowmoonity, which is, of course, something that you created and is flourishing tremendously. And so I want to talk about all, the different facets of the Cowmoonity today. I'm really excited.
That sounds fun.
Yes, as, a member, but also, the community is so interesting. I can't wait to talk about this.
It is.
Yeah, but so those who don't know anything about Blimeycow, the channel, what I like to do is give my guests 2 minutes to describe what the topic is. Do you think you could explain Blimeycow in 2 minutes?
I think I can do it.
Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Go.
All right, so Blimeycow is a YouTube channel that my brother and I started when I was probably 16 or 17 years old, and he was 14. And it was kind of right at the beginning of when YouTube was getting started. And we just did comedy stuff, and we have been doing comedy stuff on YouTube since 2005, 2006. Yeah, just since it started, basically, and we're still rocking and rolling. Just did it for fun when we were younger, and somewhere along the line it became our job, which I'm incredibly grateful for, and a really fun community has been built around our content, and as is evidenced by our wonderful host of this podcast today, it is an international thing. It's not just here in the U.S., so I'm very, very, very honored by that. It's very cool to make content that, especially since I haven't done much traveling in my life. I haven't done any international traveling. I've traveled around the U.S. for sure, but it's cool to make stuff that that makes sense to people who don't live in the country, I guess is what I'm trying to say. That is relevant or interesting to people who don't live here. So I think that's really cool, especially because a lot of what we talk about is U.S. culture type stuff. So yeah, I am having a lot of fun. I get to do fun stuff for work, and that is my life. And that was probably about 2 minutes.
Yeah, beautiful. Pretty much. Yeah, you got like 5 seconds left.
Oh, perfect.
But yeah.
Wow,
Amazing.
I'm so good. I have a great internal clock.
Yeah, that was beautiful. I was like, oh, he's wrapping it up, and we're like on time. This is going really well. Okay, awesome. So yeah, so you told us a bit about your content. So I think the interesting thing about your content is like, yeah, you mentioned that it's US based, which I think, yeah, I can attest to that because from being an international member of the Cowmoonity, but also like being very much in the minority as an international, as a person from the UK, and it's like I think so many people assume that everybody's from the same place.
Yeah,
and
sure.
We're like, oh yeah, like we exist too.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not that big a deal. I mean, that's gonna happen pretty much anywhere. With things of that nature. But the other thing that is interesting, I think, about the Cowmoonity is the overwhelming. Not that not that Blimeycow is a Christian YouTube channel. That's like the overwhelming sort of demographic is it tends to appeal to homeschooled Christians, which I find that quite fascinating because like you never actually say, oh, like this is what I believe. But it's really cool that that it resonates with a lot of people who have similar thoughts and feelings, but also like a wide variety within that. Many people from all different kinds of traditions.
Yeah.
Which I think is cool as well.
Well, I think about it. I mean, I know that you and I have talked a lot about Relient K because we both are big Relient K fans. And
oh, yeah.
I sort of think about it in that same sort of way where I was just at the exact perfect age as Relient K was coming up and making music and all of that. That every album they came out with was like I was just a little bit younger than they were. So I'm sure that they're writing albums and they're writing songs and then they're playing them live and testing them out and then producing them and then waiting for the release or whatever. So from the time they write a song to the time it released, it's probably a couple of years. And I was like a couple of years younger than them growing up. And I still am, obviously. And so a lot of what they were writing about was stuff I was going through as well. And so it was just the perfect soundtrack for my youth, and it always will be. And so like, for the rest of my life, that regardless of whether I listen to it still all the time or whatever, like I always will have that and know that when I listen to those songs, I'm like, man, I remember where I was. I remember what was happening. I remember how much that meant to me when I heard it because I didn't think anybody else understood that. So it was very comforting to know that not only was I not alone in that feeling, but also that it was being expressed in a way that I could relate with. And so I think, like you were saying, like, we don't, a lot of times we won't outright say, oh, and here's what you need to think about this, or here's what you need to think about that. A lot of it is more about asking questions. And of course, obviously we have a perspective and opinions, but we try to, especially if it's something that is like a contentious type of thing, we try to say, well, hey, look, here are all the different ways of looking at it, and it's good to ask questions about these things. I know we've done videos recently where we I don't know, I'm thinking about like a recent video we did about like authority and police and things like that. And
yes, I was just thinking of
that. And maybe what we said was a little bit different than what people would have maybe expected us to say if you were somebody who wanted to put us inside of a box there, to say, oh, well, they're that homeschool Christian channel, so but if you're I guess this is what I'm trying to say. If you're like really paying attention and you understand what our perspective has always been, that video shouldn't have felt weird or controversial at all. Like it would have felt very in line. Like I know that there have been musicians or I don't know, YouTubers or like comedians or directors that I've followed over the years, and they'll put out something about, man, I can't believe they took such a left turn there. And I'm like, what are you talking about? This is what they've always said. It's just not, doesn't fit inside of that little bubble that you were kind of hoping that they belonged in, you know, you kind of want to claim something as your own. We did this growing up with Reliant K, you know what I mean? Like, it was like, oh, this is our band, you know what I mean? You guys have all your bands, but Reliant K is ours. And I think that was detrimental to some degree, and probably to them too, because, you know, certainly they were in a different place. Like, I don't know how you say it, but like spiritually, you know, it's always a thing of like putting these guys on a pedestal when they're literally just musicians out on the road, you know, just trying to write about life, man, and, you know, do all this stuff. And so this is a little meandering, so I'm not even 100% sure where I'm trying to land with all this, but I'm just kind of thinking it through.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, I guess what I was trying to say initially is I am grateful that people still watch us after all these years, and I think that for the people that have stuck with us, because, you know, when we started Messy Mondays, which is like the main show that kind of got popular and people started watching our channel, it's very much just the show where we just talk to the camera. We talk about ideas and how we think through things, and, you know, we've been doing it long enough now that there will be videos that we did 10 years ago that, you know, if you pulled up a video that we did today, it's like, whoa, they've changed their opinion on that a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that doesn't mean, oh, look, they're inconsistent. It's like, no, well, if you've actually followed the trajectory, the fact that the opinion has changed makes sense, because, you know, things change over time. And as you get older, you think about things differently. So
that's right.
I guess I say all that to say that I think that it's cool that people, that as we've grown up, people have kind of grown up with us. And so
right. Yes.
There's like a comfort in that to some degree, that like, even if maybe, okay, well, I grew up watching you guys and I still enjoy you. I didn't quite land where you guys did, but, you know, there's like a familiarity there that is good. And I think that that lends itself to a good community, where everybody hopefully has like good intentions and is willing to listen to other people and consider their perspectives and things like that, regardless of whether you end up agreeing with it or not. That's kind of always been our intent, and I think that we've been doing it long enough now that you can see that sometimes in the stuff we make, because it's a little different than maybe what we would have said 10 years ago, you know.
Yeah, little different. Yeah, no, I think that's so true. And I think what you said about, like, if you're paying attention, then you notice that, you know, maybe our opinion has changed, but like we haven't, you know, changed. It's just the fact that, you know, we've grown a little bit. And I think like online, people don't have grace for people that are just growing and just like figuring stuff out. And it's like we're adults here. Like, we're allowed to, like, you know, read more things and like take things in and see things differently. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. So no, but I think it's cool, and I think you're I think you do a great job of really yes, with your content, but also in the way that you, I was going to say manage. That's not the right word. No, cultivate the community.
I said manage is a good word. To some degree, sometimes it feels like the right word.
Yep, you know, you got to keep us all in line. No, but for real. But I think, I was thinking about this the other day, a couple weeks ago, and I was like, man, I could do like a whole season on the community, because it's so differently, like, multifaceted. Like, you've got the anime group, you've got unsatisfied customers, you have the theology group, you have the gamer group, like, you have Mighty Networks versus Discord,
right?
And there's like different people on.
Oh yeah, it's like they're like different worlds, I feel like sometimes.
Yes, and you have the people that show up to the live streams and engage there a ton, and people that don't, and like there's like so many different heads on this thing.
It is very interesting. I agree. Like,
it is fascinating.
That was a good way. The way you just described that, it put it better than I have been able to describe it. I agree. I think that like Discord is a little more Gen Z, and Mighty Networks is a little more my age, even though obviously it's not all millennial types that are on the actual website. So when we talk about Mighty Networks, we have like a website that's like a social media platform that we built that's just for people who support our content. But a part of supporting that too is you get access to our Discord server as well. And they definitely, they have different vibes.
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm definitely much more active on Discord than I am on Mighty Networks.
Yeah.
I mean, I check it every like once in a while. It's funny because you said, people in Mighty Networks are like, the more millennials, and then everyone on Gen, and I'm like, it's so funny because like my two really good friends that are part of the anime group, like when I first started talking to them, I thought they were closer to my age, and then they were both like, "Yeah, we're both 19," and I was like, "Whoa!"
Oh, I know that's
now I feel like an old woman.
That's the thing. That's the thing about like, well, how old? Do you mind me asking? I don't even know how old you are, Karis.
I'm 25.
Okay,
yeah,
that's kind of what I thought. I was like, I think she's like mid-20s. Yeah, but that's the thing about being kind of the age range that we are. Like now, getting into your 30s, like I don't know, like. You're finally like out of that age stratosphere where you feel like, oh, this person is like 5 years younger than me. So I know a lot more than they do. You know what I mean? Like when you're younger, that's a big deal. Like somebody being 17 versus 12, obviously, like that's a big deal. But like at a certain point, like you have friends and they're like, oh yeah, I'm 21, I'm 22, and it's like you don't like at some point you don't really think about it. It's all very interesting. For sure.
Yeah, it is. And that's just a weird thing as well, because I think of all the people that regularly hang out in the anime group, it's like I tend to be the oldest one.
Yeah,
I mean, there are a few people that are my age and older, but it's like, I'm like, wow. I'm like the mom, the anime mom.
You're the mom. You're the mom of the animes.
Apparently, the mom of the weebs. And so anyway,
why is it called weebs? I always hear that term. What does that mean?
It's short for weeaboos, which is like, it's kind of, it's a weird word.
Okay.
It's because there's like weeaboos, there's like weebs, and there's otaku. And otaku kind of has a really negative connotation of like single people living in their basement.
Oh, okay.
Like, watch anime all the time. Weebs is like kind of a more affectionate term for that.
I gotcha.
But it's sort of like, people they're super obsessed with that.
I gotcha. All right.
So we use it in an affectionate
so
way.
It kind of it started a little derogatory, but it's been like accepted as like a self-aware sort of term.
Right, and I mean, it's us that call ourselves that
I got
anyway.
It. Okay.
Because we're like the council of weebs. I don't know who like coined that term, but that's like something. We have many names.
And that is that just what you guys call yourselves, or like
that's what we call ourselves?
I mean, like within the your little group in the Cowmoonity, or
so within the Cowmoonity.
Oh, okay. So this isn't like if I went out and said, "Oh, you're a weeb" to somebody who liked anime, they wouldn't know what I was talking about.
No, like it is a popular word.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is a general word for anime.
That's what I was saying. I thought I'd heard it before, like outside of talking to you guys. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah.
I'm caught up now.
Mm-hmm. Right. But anyway, I'm not here to talk about the anime group. Although I could do that all day.
Okay.
So I'm really excited about Blimeycow. That is the reason that I joined the community in the first place, and still haven't got to go.
Yeah, have we had one since you got here?
Well, no, yeah, there was one in 2019 which I could have gone to, and then I didn't.
Okay,
because I was like, oh, I gotta save my pennies.
Had you known what was going to happen, would you have come to that Blimeycow?
I mean, 2019 was the year before everything.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you had known that it was going to be like a 2-year hellscape, would you have?
Do you know what? I feel like probably, but I'm kind of glad that I didn't because, like, the whole the anime group, all started this year, and they've become like my people. So
you know what I've been thinking a lot about. Well, two things. I've been thinking a lot about how the next Blimeycow, and I'm sure I've told this to you before, Karis, but that it's gonna be like just such a different vibe than the previous Blimeycows. Because I think that we're gonna move from like the millennial Blimeycow, because the Gen Z, they were all like younger the last time. But now Gen Z is like kind of coming into their own, and so I really think that the next one will be like the Gen Z Blimeycon. And which will be cool. But I just normally, so what we've done in the past is we give everybody name tags. I don't know how we'll do this time. We probably honestly won't do this time, but we've given everybody name tags. And if you had, I think I'll try to remember how we did this, but if you had a blue name tag, that meant it was your first time coming to Blimeycon. If you had a white name tag, that meant you had been before. So it was kind of a way of saying, hey, for all of you people with white name tags who have been here before, make sure you say hi to the people with blue name tags because it's their first time. But this time, I can count on like two hands how many people that have been before that I think will come this time, because a lot of them have gotten married or they have kids now. Just in a few years since the last time we did it. I think there'll be a few people that still come and some that have kids now. But I think that the vast majority of people that come it's going to be the first time. But also, this is the other funny thing, is that it'll be the first time that I'm meeting all these people because it'll be the first time they've come. But I'm going to know you guys better than I knew the people that I had met before at Blimeycon, like in years past. So
that's so weird.
So it's because we've spent so much time talking on the live streams and on the website and especially on Discord. So it's like, that's what I mean when I say like the vibe is going to be different, because we're all going to be meeting each other for the first time, or most of us. I know some people have met up in different places, but obviously, like, you haven't met anybody.
Well, it's funny you should say that.
Oh, really? Did you find? Was there somebody over there that you met?
No, but I am going on vacation in January to Nashville, and I'm meeting up with two of the anime people.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait, you're coming here?
Yep.
To Nashville?
I'm coming to Nashville.
Who are you? Who's here in Nashville?
So, no one. But
you guys are gonna meet up in Nashville?
Yeah. So the thing is, I'm flying in to. I'm actually gonna be going to Columbus, Ohio for like a week. And I'm gonna hang out with Chris and stuff.
Hager?
Chris Hager. Yes. Okay. And then, but I'm staying with my friend Lee and his family, who you don't know him, but he's the co-host on one of my other shows.
Oh, okay.
Because we're going to see House of Heroes in December. Oh, they're playing a show.
Okay.
Yes. So we're going to that. And then I was like, okay. So I said to Adam and Josh, you don't know the other Josh, but from the anime group, and I was like, okay, so like if we meet up somewhere in the middle between where all of us are going to be, because Adam is way down in South Carolina, and Josh is all the way over in Oklahoma, and I'm coming from Ohio. Yeah. So we're somewhere in the middle, and we're like, Nashville, that'll do, right? So we're gonna be there for 2 weeks in January.
Wow. So you're flying into Columbus, and then you're coming down to Nashville.
I'm coming to Nashville, and I'm doing other stuff after that. I'm going to see my cousins in Maryland. And things.
Are you driving into Nashville, or are you gonna fly from Columbus to Nashville?
Yeah, we're driving. Me and Chris.
Oh, Chris is coming too. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's giving me a ride, which is really kind of him. I think he's gonna hang out for like a couple days.
Well, we gotta hang out while you're here.
Oh yeah? Yeah. I didn't want to trouble you because I know that it's the holidays and all that stuff.
Oh, well, there's no holidays in January. What are you talking about? Holidays are over.
Fair. Oh, that would be so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds fun. That sounds fun.
I'll send you the dates of when I'll be there.
Okay, that sounds...
And you can let us know what cool stuff we can do.
Oh, yeah. There's all kinds of fun food in Nashville. Honestly, I don't... Like, I've lived here my whole life. The people are like, so what should I do in Nashville? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't really do anything here. I just think it's a pretty state. Like, when we want to go do things, we don't go to Nashville. I say go to Nashville. I live like on the outskirts of Nashville. So when people are asking where I'm from, I just say Nashville. Even though technically I'm on the outskirts. But normally, if we want to go do something, we drive to Gatlinburg, or we go, we kind of drive further out a little bit, because Nashville is kind of like the city. And, unless you like good food or whatever, which, good food is fun, but I'm more of like a get out into the country and enjoy nature kind of relaxation. So we like to go to Gatlinburg because if you've ever heard of the Great Smoky Mountains, that's where they're located. Okay. It's just beautiful area out there, and it usually doesn't cost very much to rent a cabin, and There's a great theme park out there, so you can still like do some fun touristy things even if you're kind of getting
nice.
out.
I'm gonna add this to my list.
Well,
of potential stuff.
The problem is that you're coming right in the dead of winter, and so I'm pretty sure that theme park is closed in January. I think they open up in March or so.
That's disappointing.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay because I mean, Josh and Adam don't actually like theme parks.
Oh, okay.
So,
all right. Well,
because we were like,
yeah.
I was like, we can go to Dollywood, and they're like, well, you can go on everything.
Yeah.
You don't like rides, and I'm like, okay.
Dollywood is. I mean, Dollywood. You know, I think that if you, especially, I would say, if you live outside of the country, and you hear the name Dollywood, it probably sounds very like redneck, hick, kind of like, oh,
yeah.
that sounds dumb, but it actually is like it's one of the prettiest theme parks in the country. Like outside of Disney World and Disneyland, it's like the only nice one that I've been to. And you know, it's based around this woman, Dolly Parton, who's like the patron saint of Tennessee, basically. I mean, so she's done like a lot of incredible things. She has an initiative called I forget what it's called, an imagination reading or library, or imagination library. And basically, because when she was growing up, she grew up in like the hills of Severville, however you pronounce it. And she didn't have like access to books and didn't know how to read until she was much older. So she has this whole initiative where you just sign up when you have a child, and this organization that she started will just send your child a book every month until they're 5 years old, just to encourage kids to read. No cost.
Oh, that's so cool.
Nothing like that. Yeah, it's fantastic. And there were some really bad fires out in Gatlinburg a few years ago, and she like bankrolled all of the cleanup and the rescue and everything. Like, she's just done a tremendous amount for this area. So she's like a folk hero around here. So
yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's great. So anyways, Nashville is a lot of fun. Getting outside of Nashville just a few hours is even more fun, in my opinion.
Okay.
But
okay.
there's lots to do. I mean, Gatlinburg is kind of a very tourist trappy kind of place, but it's beautiful. Like, mountains are amazing and a lot of fun. So anyways,
I mean, to be honest, it's like one of those things where, like, as much as I'm like excited to like, oh yeah, we can go do touristy things, like, I'm just excited to hang out with these people that like have I call them like my family night. Like, I'm like, oh, they're my brothers.
Yeah.
Like, just because we talk every day, and it's really cool.
That's really special.
So yeah,
that's really
it's really awesome. It's amazing that the community is able to facilitate these relationships, and especially that Blimeycon, which of course is a convention for patrons of Blimeycow. I don't know if we actually explained
sorry.
that
Well,
at any
it
point.
makes sense with the title, I guess.
Right. But it's a way that can facilitate that.
Yeah.
And I think that, in my opinion, the Cowmoonity is one of the most, like, I don't know, like, thriving online communities that I've seen. That's like all of these people that hang out all the time.
That's
like
cool.
online, in person. Like, I don't see that many fandoms surrounding, like, you know, I mean, I'm involved in Kingdom Hearts because of my podcast and things like that, where people go out of their way to like, oh, let's meet up. Like, I mean, I'm sure there's lots of like, you know, different content creators that I guess are friends and like will hang out together, but people that just show up for each other kind of day in, day out is really beautiful to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So
I feel like once we started the Patreon, that was like, I guess like 6 or 7 years ago now. You know, we started the Facebook group and such, and it seemed like people got along pretty well. And then they started talking about everybody getting together in Nashville for like a get together. And I was like, I mean, if people would actually drive down, we could have like a get together. People could come over, and it kind of just worked from there. I think like 60 people came to the first one, and like 100 people came to the next one. But it really was after that first Blimeycon where everybody came over to our house that it was like putting faces to all these like profile pictures that we knew from Facebook.
Right.
And I think that just everybody getting to meet, and a lot of these people, you know, they shared Airbnbs. Like, it was a very like cool thing where everybody was just like, well, we just want to go, but we got to figure out the cheapest way to do it. Maybe we could all get an Airbnb together. And so that was what it was. And so I feel like after that first Blimeycon, especially after like the second one, it just really felt like, I don't know, it's hard to explain it, but like kind of what you're describing, where it was just like it felt like you kind of found your people a little bit. I got that vibe from like the way that people were talking about each other, and I was like, man, that's so cool. Like it doesn't feel like, oh, I made this or I created this. You know what I mean? Like it just feels like, boy, I feel like we were sort of just what's the word? Like entrusted to some degree with like, hey, look, you know, you guys are making this content, and the kind of person that is going to enjoy this content are going to be the kind of people that need a friend, or that like are looking for a community. And so, you know, just keep making that content and keep kind of facilitating the community, and you know, it's out of your hands. And that's how I've always felt about it. I don't feel like, you know, we were joking like, oh, I manage the group or whatever, but but I don't, you know, I don't feel like it's like in my control. I've always felt like, all right, this is just going to naturally evolve. And people ask like, oh, you got to start a Discord. I didn't know anything about Discord. I still don't feel like I know much about Discord, but I was like, well, yeah, we'll start a Discord. And it really is kind of taken off over the last couple of years. And there's so many different like channels now for different things. And I don't know, it's really cool. It's like, it feels like a really special thing. And we've had people that like within the Cowmoonity that got married, and like I even officiated a wedding one time, Karis, in Texas.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I had to get ordained or whatever for the day. And
amazing.
Yeah, so I mean that's really
what
cool.
A privilege.
I know, like it's such a cool thing.
That's so crazy. And like I think that what you do, like how you're able to just be like, okay, we're gonna show up, we're gonna do this live stream, like let's all just hang out, and people like show up to that all the time. Like it's just cool to me. I'm like, you know, because to me it's like that's as much what it seems to me is like prioritizing the community is as much a priority as like managing Blimeycow itself.
100%. Yeah.
And listen, I think that is incredible. And I don't see many content creators that go out of their way to really serve their community, honestly. And like, you know, because I subscribe to other people on Patreon, and it's like, you know, I got added to this Discord or whatever, and like, you know, the person who's, I'm not gonna say who it is or anything, but you know, that YouTuber doesn't show up.
Yeah.
Ever. Hardly at all. To be fair, he's incredibly busy and has like, you know, a couple million subscribers, but anyway.
Oh jeez.
That's irrelevant. But you know, like you just get like, you know, I just see these other people, and it's like they're not putting effort into their community at all. But I think it's really cool that you do that.
I've just always, like, the two things I've always really enjoyed doing, and I really appreciate that you said that, because that really means a lot to me. Like, the two things I've always really enjoyed are making videos and telling stories, and then just, like making people feel accepted and loved and appreciated. On one hand, with Blimeycow, I get to do the one thing, I get to make videos and stuff, but then with the other side of it, it's like, hey, like, this thing that growing up, like, I always, like, you know, if you saw a kid who nobody was like getting along with or whatever, and you just wanted to go like be their friend or whatever, like that, like I was always that kid growing up. And so I was both of those kids growing up. A lot of times I felt like I didn't know how to get along with people, or I felt weird or whatever. So when I was in a situation where I was in the majority, I tried to be the one to like stick it out for people. And so that, like, the other half of Blimeycow now is that I get to do that stuff and kind of cultivate this community. And so Yeah, so that means a lot. And I feel like a lot of times, like, the stress of it now is that I worry that, like, I'm not, like, there's more that I could be doing, or like if there's like an especially, like, we just came off of like a really especially crazy month where we were dealing with like a death in the family and stuff like that. And so
I'm sorry to hear that.
yeah, thank you. And so I wasn't as involved in what was going on. So I always worry and stress, like, I'm not putting together enough hangouts or whatever. But then I come back and, like, there's still like tons of stuff happening. It's like nothing changed or anything, and it's just really encouraging. And we like plan a live stream and a bunch of people show up, and it's just really cool. It doesn't feel real to me, any of this. It just feels like, I don't know. It's like, man, I can't believe one, I just even get to do this stuff for free, and then like the fact that, like, I don't have to work on other stuff because I make enough doing this, like I can live decently, so it's like,
it's so great.
It's awesome. Like it truly is the best. Like I enjoy every day of it, and like as long as it lasts, I'm just like soaking it in.
Yeah, and I mean, I enjoy the community for because I feel like I have a certain amount of of clout as the person that initiated two of the most active groups in the Discord, those being anime and unsatisfied customers. I'm like, let's go.
Legend.
No, it's for real. I'm so excited. Like, unsatisfied customers is wild, and I feel like I could do a whole season just on that itself.
Yeah. I was gonna say it could be its own podcast, but I guess it is. Like, Justine and Josh have that podcast.
It is its own podcast. I gotta get them onto the show too, and just talk about you.
They've got two podcasts. They've got the show where they interview people, and then they've got the alternate universe show where it's like an actual like drama that they are a drama, like an audio drama that they are developing. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's so weird. So. Yeah, and so unsatisfied customers, real quick. Can I give an explanation as to what the heck that means? So the short story is, so yeah, when you were explaining earlier about, and people in the community have got married or they've got together because they met in the community. So there was a period of time where that sequentially seemed to be happening like every other day. Like there was like one summer where
there was like a hot streak.
Yes, and I feel like that was when I was like early joined, because I just saw these couples, like, and every time like you would post or you would comment under this post and be like, another satisfied customer, and so to me it became like a meme. Well, it is a meme anyways, but then I remember talking to someone else in a group chat about it, and I was like, yo, like, what about us? Like, all of the people that, don't have a significant other through the community. Like, and then we made the group unsatisfied customers for all the single people. And it sounds so weird and sad, but at the time it was a complete meme, because I mean, my situation is that I live here in the UK, so I would never be dating anyone long distance anyway. So, like, that was out of the question in the first place.
Very, very long distance.
And I literally, like, okay, so I literally thought it would last a month max. And it's been a year plus, and it's still going, and it's grown complete arms and legs. Like I said, there's 2 podcasts. We have unsatisfied customers merch now. Like, I just ordered my hoodie. From Mark. I'm so excited to be repping that everywhere. Let me tell you. I'm mailing it to Chris's house so that I can, save on shipping.
Oh, there you go.
It's wild. So, well, what do you make of all of that? What do you think of the culture of UC?
I think it's very funny. I hear about drama every now and again, but it seems to resolve itself as time goes on. So I think early on, and not just with the UC, like I tried to take more of like a hands-on approach to, like, all right, let me make sure everybody's good, let me make sure everything's okay. But I think as time has gone on, one, I've realized, like, okay, well, I mean, like, this place won't be fun if it's like I have to have the final say on everything that happens here. And 2, I also don't want that responsibility. to some degree. And then, but then 3, it seems like everybody, like as time goes on, like is cool about things or whatever. So I love the UC. I think it's hilarious. As soon as I saw that you guys created that group, I was like, that's so funny. Like, this is going to be, and I didn't even think about it as like, oh, it's going to be like the singles group. But then as time went on, I was like, it's genius. Like, it's so funny. Like, it makes sense that there would be some sort of like singles group within this community, which is, and I think that it's got the exact attitude and tone that like it needs to have in order to like stay a healthy environment, where it's like very much just like posting memes. Like, it's just like it's very self-aware and not like, all right, on this day we're all gonna pair off and see if anybody has any luck finding someone special. It's
that would ever work, right?
Right. Oh, I don't know.
Oh
no, I think it's fun. I really like it. I feel like that's one of the best examples of like the Cowmoonity just sort of like taking on a life of its own in a way that I could have never anticipated or like come up with myself. I think it's a lot of fun.
Like, okay, like the only time, so my friends that are part of the anime, like the only time that they ever see anything that goes on in UC is like if I tag them. I'm like, oh, look at this meme. This is so funny.
Yeah.
It describes like our relationship or whatever. But then different people saw me and I'm one of those guys talking a ton, and so they start shipping us, right? And I'm like, that's so weird because I see him like my brother. Like, I don't like that at all. But then they thought that I was memeing about that. I'm like, no, like I'm dead serious. So like that was so funny because I mean it was a little bit awkward for like a day. But then I spoke to the person about it afterwards, who was like kind of perpetuating that idea, and I was like, listen, like this is how I felt about it. And he was like, okay, so this was like my perspective, like because I don't know you guys super well, like how was I supposed to know that like that was your thing? And I was like, yeah, like don't worry about it, like it's chill, it's cool. But it's like what it showed me is that even within the community, like there's this group of people and there's this group of people, and they don't like necessarily interact.
Right.
So like when there's me, who's like the intersection between that, it's like I'm kind of a bridge between two like worlds that don't really mesh at all. Not for any bad reason, but it's just weird that it's like, oh, they have their own jokes and they have their own jokes. And they don't understand each other's jokes. But it's still under the same umbrella. I just thought that was a weird and funny phenomenon.
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like in a perfect world, I would want it to be less like groupy, clicky like that. But I think that it's like, well, that's not really the world we live in. Like you find your people, and you just have a special bond with them. And I I don't think that humans were designed to have 100 best friends at one time. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like it's like historically, like you wouldn't even like know people outside of, your town or your village or whatever. So you just know a few people. So I don't think you have like the time or like the mental or spiritual, emotional space to know that many people. So as long as people are like friendly and cool with people that aren't in their tribe or their group or whatnot, then I think it's all good. And I think that's the part when I say like I don't want to like police what happens, but I also kind of want to encourage people just to be like good to each other. Like I guess that's kind of what I'm talking about, because people say, hey, so and so said something or did something and it kind of bothered me. A lot of times it's just, well, this group kind of has their norms versus your group having their norms, and they're not quite in alignment, and so it's making the situation tough. And so but that stuff is inevitable. I feel like,
but I think as well, overwhelmingly the community is a super wholesome place, like compared to pretty much any other fandom on the internet. And like that's why I wanted to talk to you about it, because you know, so many people I talk to are like, oh, there's so much discourse, there's so much argument, you know, toxicity over this game is worse than this game or whatever, and like in any sort of community kind of thing. And it's like the community is people just vibing and just having a good time posting memes, and
Yeah.
it's
I mean, I hope that I hope that it's sort of like a, I don't know, because yeah, you're right. Like I'll go find some subreddit for something I enjoy, and I'm like reading through, and I'm like, why? What is happening? Like, why is everybody so weird here? Like, I don't understand. I don't really know what dictates that. Like, you know, we've always had like a super like friendly YouTube section, like comment section, for our videos too, and people have asked like, why, like, your comment section is so friendly. Like, I honestly, like, I don't know.
You're
like,
just
what...
anointed. You're just blessed.
Yeah. I mean, I hope that it is sort of a lead by example kind of thing. And like, we try to be chill and fun and friendly. And so hopefully like that vibe just kind of spreads within the groups and stuff. That's my guess. I hope. You know, but I don't really know. I'm just grateful for it, and that's kind of how I feel. Like, okay, I don't really have control over this. I'm sort of just entrusted with it and try to do the best I can with it. And that's, I don't know. Yeah, I'm super grateful for that too, and I wish I had like a better answer for like what dictates that. Because I mean, for the most part, I'm pretty hands off, you know.
Yeah.
So it's just people being cool, like people being good to each other.
I don't know. It's just lightning at a bottle somehow. It's just one of those things.
Yeah.
It's so dope, and like, I got told by somebody in the community the other day for you know, for being a millennial, like, dope is like such a millennial word to use. I'm like, is it? I don't know, but anyways.
Yeah, I sometimes use that word, but kind of like as a joke, but also I just like, well, no, that's definitely a word I still comes to my head when I'm like, I think something is cool, like without thinking, oh, I'm gonna say something funny here, like, oh, that's dope. Like, I don't know where that came from. I mean, it's like it's a slang word for a drug.
It's true.
So
yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know.
So do you think you've made lasting friends through the community? You know, cause
oh yeah,
that's awesome.
I always tell, like, I talk more with you guys than I do with like my local friends here in town. For the most part, I have some friends that like I've known my whole life basically, and you know, we talk all the time. But yeah, I mean, you guys are, you know, you guys are like my people that I talk with a lot, and you know, because I mean, you know, it's like, I mean, I don't really have many friends in town that even like watch our videos or anything, you know, and that's like an important big part of my life, and so I don't know, but it's like, well, that probably sounds weird. It's like, oh, they don't watch my videos, so I don't hang out with them. That's not what I mean at all. I mean more like, you know, what I mean is more like the kind of stuff, the kind of videos we make is like a good representation of our personalities, and
yes,
and so most of our friends just are like, okay, so oh, you're still doing the YouTube thing, or like literally like to this day, I still have friends that are like, so where do you work? And I'm like, I've been doing YouTube for like 6 years. You make money on that? I was like, yeah, that's what. What kind of videos do you do? You know,
yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. It just feels it's a very unrelatable thing to do for a living, so it makes it kind of weird to like talk to people. I still don't really know when people ask me about it. I don't know what to say or whatnot, because like when we were younger and we would bring it up to people, you'd always have somebody who's like, "Oh, they're so funny. You gotta pull up one of their videos," and we gotta sit there and end up watching our videos in front of people. And like, it would be like, you don't have to laugh if you don't think this is funny. Like, I don't want you to. I don't know. It's just weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. It always has felt strange. Like, I think I just feel more comfortable hanging out with you guys because it's like, hey, you kind of get what we do,
right?
You know?
And I think it's so weird to me that some people still don't like understand that like doing YouTube is a career now. Like, they're like never heard of it, and it's like, well,
yeah.
You know, that's what people do. Like, you know, there's like kids growing up these days like they want to be a YouTuber.
I know.
And that's so weird to me.
I was at Disney World a few years ago. This was the first time I realized what you just said was true. I was at Disney World a few years ago, and there was some show we were in, and they were like pulling people from the audience, and they like found some kid, and they were talking to him from the stage, and they're like, "So what do you want to do when you grow up?" And he's like, "I want to be a YouTuber." And I was like, "What? What?" But then like I have a few friends who had kids younger than like pretty young, and so like they're a little bit older now. Even though like I grew up with their parents, and so I keep up with their kids, and I ask them like what they're into. So they're all about YouTube. Like they're talking to me about the stuff on YouTube that I've never even heard of, and I'm like, man, this is like, I mean, I think it's good. Like we growing up, we had like a few channels to watch on TV, and that was like the extent of any kind of entertainment you could find.
Yeah.
But now it's just like, it's a lot less corporate now. People can just go on and just watch whatever stuff on YouTube they want, and kids can watch it too, as long as, it's age appropriate or whatnot. So I think that's really cool. I agree. Like but people to this day, like they don't really understand that like YouTube can be a career for people. And it's just a weird thing to try to explain to people. So I never know what to say. I honestly, like when people ask me what I do for a living, I usually just say like video, like I'm a video producer. I produce video content or something like that. I don't normally even say YouTube. Yeah. I don't know. It's just like, it's not fun explaining it to people because it's like, they're like, I feel like they think they have to ask about it because it's like a novel enough thing. It's like, oh, so what kind of stuff do you know? I don't know. I don't know.
No, I get it. And it's like, it's like when I talk to people at church and they're like, oh yeah, I do podcasts. And they're like, oh, so like, what do you talk about? Like, do you talk about the Bible? And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a theology
I
podcast.
talk about video games and the weebs.
Yeah. And movies and Godzilla and stuff. Yeah, but that's pretty much my shtick at the minute.
Yep.
It's so funny. Do you talk about theology? No. Why would I do that? I don't like. Yeah. I mean, I am trying to study the Bible a little bit more than I do at the minute, but that's irrelevant. So
hard to do a podcast about that kind of thing. You gotta like have an opinion about everything. That doesn't sound fun to me.
Right. Yeah, I think so. Well, great. Is there anything else you want to talk about at the minute?
I don't think so. It's fun getting to talk about the Cowmoonity with you, and this is honestly like it's like it fills my heart with happiness, like just hearing how much it means to you. And stuff.
Like, it means everything to me. Like, I'm on Discord all day, every day. Like, probably too much.
Really?
Well, I did have a little bit of a break from Discord the other night because I'm like, this is, I'm physically exhausted from work and being social every night. It's starting to, like, wear me down a little bit. So I'm like, I need a bit of a mental break. But then I was like, I saw people hanging out in voice chat and I'm like, oh, now I feel like... I've got, like, FOMO, and I need to, like, speak to people, because I'm an extrovert, so that's, like, it's hard, so that's cool. My sort of brand at the moment is, like, adopting introverts into, in the Council of Weebs, but no, it's so much fun. I love these people so much with my whole heart, and it's really cool that you're so invested in cultivating that as well. And it's interesting, I always find it fun talking to you, because I think you've got such an interesting, like, perspective as someone who's been on YouTube for a long time and has really seen it kind of change and, like, evolve, and and seeing the kids show up to the Blimeycow in different years, and like I never think that means to you. That's really cool. So it's fun. It's a joy and a pleasure.
I'm still kind of waiting to. I told people we would decide 100% about Blimeycow like in January, February, because I figured by then we would know like what was going to happen in the winter and like what it was going to dictate for things going into next year. But my vibe right now is that we're probably going to end up having it. That's how it feels to me, just the general vibe. So, but we'll know for sure in a couple of months.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, as we finish, is there anything you want to plug at the end at all?
I don't have anything to plug anymore. Just, I guess, go find us on the YouTube, or you go to blimeycow.com, or if you want to join the Cowmoonity, support blimeycow.com.
I think you should, personally. Well, great. Thank you. So that was Josh Taylor. I really loved speaking to him. He's such a great and humble guy. My name is Karis. You can follow Journey into Fandom on Twitter at j_into_fandom, and I am at Carison Ford on Twitter. That's CarysSonFord. Please also join the official Discord for all my podcasts, Kingdom Minds, Retrospective, and Journey into Fandom. You can support the show by visiting patreon.com/into the Carisverse. Thank you for listening. Bye!